similar. Ex-
All right, I'll call to order the Tanamount Desert Planning Board meeting for January 11th, 2023. And Tony and Roger, do I need to go over the Zoom rules again?
No,
So welcome aboard. We are still in hybrid territory here. We are meeting in person at the C Street meeting room, as well as obviously online. And Happy New Year. This is our first official planning board meeting of 2023. And in person in the room here, we've got myself, Chair William Hanley, and we've got Meredith Randolph joining us as well. And then online, we've got, where is he? Dave Ashmore in the dark. Good to see you, Dave. And we've got Tracy Loftus Keller online as well. So we've got 4 board members present tonight. And let's just dig right into it. We got some minutes to approve, and if someone could remind me of the date of the minutes, we had one.
This is Heidi. It was December 14th.
Thank you. We only have one hearing in December every year, as well as November because of the holidays. And so again, that's December 14th.
Do we want people?
Yeah, that's
to-
what I have.
Yeah, we can. Let me preface the hearing first with a few pro forma things. If you have a cell phone, please put it in airplane mode. We are on Zoom. I hope we all know how Zoom works by now. You know, if you can, the people that are on Zoom, please sign in through chat so we have a record of who's online. And then, of course, if you're here in person in the meeting room, please sign in. There's a sign-in sheet right here, and away we go. All right, so we have the meeting minutes from December 14th. 2 of the items tonight essentially are continuations from that hearing. So anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of December 14th.
Tracy Keller, second.
Great. All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. All right, and speaking of items continued from December 14th, let's dive right into it. So that's item 3 tonight, and just bear with me as I read through this. But tonight we've got section 4.3 non-conforming structures. We have and under section 4.3 we have 4.3.7 change of use of a non-conforming structure. And what that talks about is that the use of a non-conforming structure may not be changed to another use unless the planning board, after receiving a written application, determines that the new use will have no greater adverse impact than the existing use on A, the subject or adjacent properties and resources, or B, water body, tributary stream, or wetland. And in determining that no greater adverse impact will occur, the planning board shall require written documentation from the applicant regarding the probable effects on public health and safety, erosion and sedimentation, water quality, fish and wildlife habitat, vegetative cover, visual and actual points of public access to waters, natural beauty, floodplain management, archaeological and historic resources, and commercial fishing and maritime activities and other functionally water dependent uses. Well, tonight, as a continuation from the December 14th meeting, we have Cecily G. Belford, and the agent is Michael Leslie. The location is 5 Spruce Road, Northeast Harbor, tax map 25, lot 55, and it's the village commercial. zone and purpose to convert an existing garage into a private art studio. And do we have someone here tonight? Oh, welcome. And who do we have here tonight?
Michael Lester,
Welcome.
representing Skizzy-Bill.
All right, well, thank you for the patience as we,
Yes.
Yes.
Meredith.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, hi,
Hi.
who's your brother?
Yes, I remember who you are. Yep.
Hey. All right, well, we got our hellos taken care of and on we go. Thank you for the patience with this. This is a continuation from the last hearing where the planning board had asked for some additional information from the applicant to find the application complete so we can continue with the review of the application. And perhaps you could just give us a quick summary of the project and the additional items submitted.
Sure. This is an existing garage that was in non-compliance, and property it had to get approved, and it did, and then she wished to turn it into an art studio, which really was improving the existing structure, because it was just some rotting corners and this and not the other thing, and so it was insulated before, it was a shop and a garage for the guy before. So we're basically cleaning up the inside, shoring up the bad parts, making it look nice and putting in some windows, but it's not expanding at all, like zero. It's staying on the slab that it's on in the exact same dimensions, and no other additions or subtractions. It's not, we're not changing the panel, we're not changing really anything, we're just fixing it up as it is. And as far as I was able to determine, it wasn't any of the only, map that I was able to kind of produce was this guy here, which seemed to be clear that I was devoid of any of those aforementioned impacts. I think I'm clear that I'm not gonna impact anything. There's no water anywhere, there's no, there's no geological thing anywhere. And basically I'm just fixing up the existing structure. But instead of a car, she'll just be able to use it as her painting studio.
So based upon the information submitted that there's no water body or tributary stream or wetland.
Yeah,
in
you
the
were
vicinity.
produced with the zoning map that
Mhm.
shows it strictly in the village commercial zoning district.
Mhm,
You also asked for the habitat map, which
mhm.
was provided, and then the archaeological map, which was provided you all. And there was also a condition, which I didn't understand it, that the board had with regards to checking with, what was it? Checking about impact for the change of use on public health and safety.
Oh, right, that we had asked that, the board had thought that maybe just a quick blurb from the Public Works Department, and if there was any impact on public health and safety.
I mean, there's no plumbing or anything in the building and there's none proposed, so I don't think it affects anything. As far as public health or
Mhm.
safety. So I think you probably should just bypass that.
Okay.
I think that even, wasn't there, didn't you have, that you would talk to somebody in the public works?
Did you?
No.
No, I was going to try and get hold of Verizon or wherever the power company is, as requested, to see if there was gonna be some sort of impact in that, but I didn't know what to ask them because it's the same panel, it's.
Right.
Everything's the same.
Everything's the same, so I'd say,
Just a use.
everything's the
Yeah.
same, is it gonna have any impact?
Yeah, yeah, no.
Probably not.
And from, if I recall correctly, from the site visit, the roof overhang was cut off. on
Yeah, what
the-
happened was when the garage was built years ago, in the nineties, I believe. It was built within the front and the rear setback.
Mhm.
And it showed on the site plan that it would meet setbacks, but come to find out when the survey was done, it was actually encroaching, so they had to cut the eve. Face on the roadway, and they got a setback release from the
From-
tennis club.
Yeah,
So they did the, consent agreement, administrative consent agreement with the town.
right. And the setback waivers in the original.
It's in the file, yeah, but they were also notified as a butters for the change in use, and they,
Mhm.
we didn't get any contact from them as far as any
Yeah.
issues
And we
with the
didn't,
change in use.
we didn't have anybody show up at the hearing or online or at the site visit, so. And where this one was a continuation, it wasn't, didn't need to be
No,
re-advertised.
because you continue it to a date certain.
And the butters notified, so it
So
seems, like-
anybody that would have been interested would have been at the meeting,
yeah,
and then they would be here tonight if they had any.
Yep. well, I guess I'll first ask if there's any public comment about this application.
Don't end the meeting, Kim.
Yeah,
Close this.
all right, going once. Twice. All right, I'll close public comment on the application. I guess the first thing we need to do is find out if the board determines the application to be complete.
No,
No,
you don't have to do completeness.
we don't have to do.
You have to go through the
completeness.
checklist. Did you guys start any of it in
No.
December?
Well, we got hung up on
We
completeness.
got.
That was-
Completeness.
Why wouldn't we
That's
have
conditional
complete?
use only.
Mhm.
You're just.
Kim,
going
we
through-
just fall off the rails if you're not here. I mean, we just.
I couldn't help that. I wasn't here on Friday. So what you're gonna do is you're going through this section here one by one, and you're doing findings of facts and conclusions of law.
Got
I
it.
didn't know if you started any of that
No.
when I wasn't here.
No, we didn't. We just, the board found that we needed more information to start the process.
All right, we've got it now.
All right,
Let's
you
go
got
through
it.
the
Let's
process.
do it. All right. Section 4.37, change of use of non-conforming structure. The use of non-conforming structure may not be changed to another use unless the planning board, after receiving the written application, determines that new use will have no greater adverse impact than the existing use on A, the subject or adjacent properties and resources. So we need a findings of fact and conclusion law for that. And should we vote on these individually? And
Yes.
you're nodding your head, yes. And so the findings of fact, we have a survey submitted in 2018. We have the setback waiver agreement. We have the additional mapping submitted as the findings of fact and the conclusion of law, based on those items submitted, that the subject does not have any adverse impact on adjacent properties or resources.
The change of use
The change of use.
doesn't have any.
Right,
adverse.
yes, you're doing the use.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I make that motion. Heidi, did you get a adequate motion?
I think I did. So the findings of fact were noted as a survey dated on 2018, I think you said. Was
Yes,
submitted, a setback waiver agreement was submitted, additional mapping was submitted. And based on those submittals, it was found the change of use does not have any impact. And I was just about to refer to the agenda when you asked me. So do you want more than that?
Yeah, the survey says April 2018, but that was.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, it was revised September 2022.
Okay, how about dated April 8, 2018, revised September 2022?
Sounds good.
Okay. And then based on those submittals, it was found the change of use does not have any impact. Do you need more? Is that the end of the sentence?
Adverse impact.
Adverse.
Thank you. So that's what I have.
I'll make that motion.
And Tracy Keller, I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. So then next we look at if the change of use will have no greater adverse impact on water body, tributary, stream, or wetland. And I would say the findings of fact are that based upon the mapping submission, additional mapping submitted, the conclusion of law is that there is no adjacent water body, tributary, stream, or wetland. Therefore, the change of use will have no greater adverse impact.
Did you manage to get that all, Heidi?
Sorry, if I have my microphone on, you can hear me typing. Based on additional mapping submitted, there is no adjacent water body, tributary, stream, or wetland. And then I'm trying to catch up and I don't get it all. No adverse impact, is that what you wanted?
I'm trying to talk fast.
No adverse impact.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and myself, William Hanley, I. And then it goes on to say in determining that no greater. Yeah. So there's like 10 of these things.
Yes, you have to go through each one, if you recall, remember Herrick's
Yeah.
in Seal Harbor?
Yes,
You
I
gotta
do.
take that. You have to go through each one.
Yeah. So continuing on, the checklist goes on to say, in determining that no greater adverse impact will occur, the planning board shall require written documentation from the applicant regarding the probable effects on public health and safety. And the findings of fact are that given the change of use is from a existing garage to a painting studio. The conclusion of law is that there is no
change to
Yeah,
the,
there's no adverse impact on public health and safety.
I would say there's no change to the public health and safety.
Yeah.
There's change of use, but the impact on public use is unchanged.
Right, because the building is staying as such.
Yeah.
Electrical's already to the building and there's no plumbing or sewer or anything.
Right.
No water.
Does that sound like a motion?
yeah, I've got, the findings are given the change of use from an existing garage to a painting studio. The conclusion of law is there is no change of use to the building and no greater adverse impact will occur. And that I only use that last clause because that's actually in the wording,
Yeah.
but I can
there's
take it out.
There's no change to the public. What is the
Public health.
there is no change to the public health use. Don't keep losing it. Public health and safety.
Okay, so given the change of use from an existing garage to a painting studio, the conclusion of law is there is no change of public health and safety. Is that how you want it to go?
How
nothing-
about, there's no change of impact on public health and safety.
Alrighty. No change of impact to the public health and safety. The public health and safety, I'll take out the. Is that enough? Do we need more?
I don't think so.
Alrighty, that's what I've got then.
I make that motion.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself and Manley, I. All right, and then on to erosion and sedimentation. Findings of fact are that per the revised site plan of September 2022, there is no change in footprint to the existing structure and therefore no impact on erosion and sedimentation.
There's no change outside, no, you're changing anything about the outside of the building? No, so there's just no change to the outside exterior of the building.
Mhm.
No development that will cause any erosion or sedimentation, no
Right.
proposed development.
That's just no development, or no development that causes any impact on erosion and sedimentation.
So that's the findings of fact, and the conclusion law is that there's no impact on erosion and sedimentation.
That's an NA.
I think we got a vote on them.
I make that motion.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Water quality, same thing again. I
Mhm.
mean, there's no,
Can we just put not applicable?
And yeah, but you gotta state why.
You're just
So
saying,
applicable does,
there's no impact, no water
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah, because it's not, there's no change to the exterior of the building,
and there's no,
and there's no plumbing.
and there's no adjacent. Well, there'd be rainwater maybe, but
what?
there's no adjacent water body.
Well, without plumbing and without a change to the exterior, there's no possibility of impact. They'd be having to throw something out the window. I mean.
Well, there's your findings of fact, and your conclusion of law is that this criteria is, review criteria is NA,
Yeah,
because there's no.
I don't think that helps
adjacent
Heidi.
water.
Heidi has to write it out.
Yeah, you gotta say why.
Yeah,
If you
let's
get
just-
appealed, always
yeah,
remember,
let-
if you get appealed,
Yeah,
why,
There's no change to the exterior, no proposed changes to the exterior of the building or addition of plumbing,
yeah, no,
and therefore,
yeah, nor the change of use is requiring any new water, new plumbing or sewer.
so that's the findings of fact.
well, is Heidi got that in when we all inject a little bit, I worry about. what-
No, this one I don't have. So what I have so far, findings of fact, there are no proposed changes to the exterior or the addition of plumbing, I think is what I heard, but then I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. Oh,
There
and
is no-
sewer,
Right, sewer,
Yep,
okay, so there are no proposed changes to the exterior or the addition of plumbing or sewer.
And the conclusion law is that there is no impact, adverse impact on water quality for the change of use.
Okay. So the conclusion of law is there is no adverse impact on water quality for the change of use. Do you want that it's not applicable?
No, let's just
Yeah.
stick with that.
we've written all that stuff, let's just,
All right. So we need a motion and second.
I make the motion.
Tracy, I'll make the second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Fish and wildlife habitat
You have a map that was presented.
based upon mapping submitted.
The property is not located within a regulated inland fishery wading bird habitat
There you go.
area.
And the conclusion of the law is,
We can do NA on that one, I think.
And you can say therefore it's not applicable.
and therefore, fish and wildlife habitat is not applicable.
NA. Therefore, NA.
Sounds like a motion.
Does Heidi have it?
I think so. Findings of fact based on mapping submitted, the property is not located within a located inland fishery wading bird habitat. Is that? Or an identified inland fishery?
Inland fishery wading bird habitat.
What we
Area.
have is that it's not located within a located habitat.
Okay.
Is the second located we don't need.
Still leave that second located.
Okay, therefore, fish and wildlife is not applicable.
Yeah.
I need a
I make
motion.
that.
Great.
Second.
You got
Tracy
it.
Keller. Second,
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Vegetative cover.
Because there's no change to the exterior outside of the building, there's no possibility of impact on vegetative cover. There's no proposed change to the vegetative cover. And therefore,
The conclusion of the law is that
it's not impact, not applicable. Well, it's not, really- yeah, no, it's not applicable.
Yeah. You want to say NA or? The findings of fact are that given there's no change to the existing footprint of the structure, with the change of use, the conclusion of law is that there is no impact on vegetative cover.
Sure.
What do you think, Heidi?
Okay, hold on a second here. The finding of fact is there is no change. There is no change to the exterior of the building. Should we write? No. All right.
Yes.
There is
That-
no
that-
change to the exterior. There is no possibility of change to vegetative cover. Therefore, it is not applicable. That does not sound,
You said the
Like
use.
Yeah, it's the change of use.
where
just-
do you want the change of use part?
So just to clean it up, that the
Yes.
proposed change of use does not have any change to the exterior of the building. Therefore, the conclusion of law is that there is no adverse impact on vegetative cover.
All right, the proposed change of use has no, this just doesn't sound right. The proposed change of use has no change to the exterior. Therefore, there is no adverse impact to vegetative cover. Is that, I'm sorry, I'm missing.
I don't know, that sounds okay.
It keeps changing subtly every time it's said, and I'm trying to catch
Of
it all, and
course.
I'm not getting anything.
I think, Heidi, that I would say so moved.
I got it. Okay, I got that part.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Oh, hold on, do we have the conclusion of law is,
Therefore, it is not
Therefore, the-
applicable is what I had.
okay,
There you go.
good. Okay, so we've had a motion and a second.
Yep, all those in favor, Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Next, we have visual and actual points of public access to waters. That sounds
This-
like an ad.
Do we have to stumble through this wording again? It's just completely not relevant.
Based upon the location of the property, there is no adjacent.
There's no relevance.
There's no adjacent water
Public
body.
access, but.
Yeah, there is no public access to waters, therefore the conclusion was that this is NA.
Did you catch all that, Heidi?
No. I've got, there are no adjacent water bodies and no public access to water. And therefore it's an A, or was there more?
No, that's it.
All right, great.
Oh, I make a motion.
Tracy Keller, second.
Right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. Natural beauty,
There are no changes to the exterior of the building and therefore has no impact on natural beauty.
All right, I did catch that one. Is that all we want? There are no changes to the exterior of the building, therefore it has no impact on natural beauty.
so,
Can we,
let's see,
yeah, findings of fact as there's no impact on the exterior and the conclusion of the law is not applicable. Well, yeah, yeah.
we're not changing anything outside, and therefore the conclusion was this one is NA.
I make that a motion.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. This one should be easy, floodplain management.
Do we have, can we package a few of these if they have no? No, we have the map for,
No, you gotta go by one by
Commercial?
one. You're almost done.
oh, okay.
Almost.
Floodplain,
there.
we are not, the building is nowhere near floodplain and therefore
It's not
this
applicable.
is not applicable.
That was the findings of fact and the conclusion.
Yes, it was.
And the motion.
Oh, yes, and that was my motion.
Tracy Keller, I'll second your motion.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. Archaeological and historic resources.
Findings of fact due to the maps of archaeological historic resources. This project is not within any areas of concern. And the conclusion of law is the standard has been met. Oh, well. What? Is this a standard has been met issue?
Yeah, we've said that before.
Okay,
All right, Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. Be another easy one. Commercial fishing and maritime activities. Let's just all remember, we're in the middle of Sylvan City.
As this is not in the shoreland zone. This is not applicable. This category is not applicable.
I think it can be that simple.
Mhm.
And let's say straightforward. And that sounded like a motion.
It was a motion. That was a motion. You were unmuted and then you muted yourself.
Okay, sorry. Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. And then lastly, other functionally water dependent uses.
This. What?
What's a?
There are no uses that are dependent on water in this building.
Given the location of the property not being within the shoreline zone.
Well, maybe it's plumbing dependent water. I don't
Functionally
know
water-
what it's
no.
referring to.
No,
Water
it's-
dependent, functionally water dependent is like a pier.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So as this project is not within the shoreline zone, then it,
mhm. That again was a findings of fact and conclusion
all
of
wrapped
law
up into a nice, neat little bundle. Yeah.
and emotion.
And emotion, yes.
I'll second that motion. Tracy Keller.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Approval conditions. Are there any approval conditions to this project?
No,
Okay, so then we circle, well, not circle back, but move on to the approval vote. All those in favor of approving the application? Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Wait, do we need a motion to approve? Do we have one?
yeah, so actually, well, let's turn that into a motion then.
I make a motion that we approve the application.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, now let's do it.
Now
So-
I'll vote aye.
Yeah, so all those in favor of approving the application, Meredith,
Aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. Congratulations.
Sorry, sometimes when they're so simple, we have a really hard time with them.
Yeah, The change of use thing is a little convoluted, and I tell you, we've been appealed on these before. And so thanks for bearing with us through the continuation and the checklist.
Well, thank you for enduring it. Yeah, appreciate it greatly.
Kim, is there anything else the applicant needs to know or?
Add your
We
something.
don't give out medals or anything.
Yeah, no medals or.
Sure.
Participation awards.
Yeah, if we had little gold stars, we'd stick them on your jacket.
I passed.
Mhm.
So the only thing you're gonna need from me is a building permit. You're gonna need a building permit for me to enclose. Are you removing the doors, garage doors?
You guys gotta
Is it
sign the
outdoor?
approval.
Yes, we'd
when
like
you
to.
can.
Yeah, need a permit to do that. And add windows and any walls or anything.
Oh, okay.
So
So how do I do that with
you
that?
have to file a building permit and plans. File,
Okay. You're Kim, right?
thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I bet you via email.
yes, we have that via email.
So I just come here and apply for a permit.
Yeah, you fill out a building permit application. The application's on the town website, and
Okay,
then you just provide drawings on what you're doing and then provide it to me.
okay.
That's,
No,
Thank you. Thank
you're
you all.
welcome.
Thank you.
Where's the original photo?
it's not in that one.
Oh, it's very good. All right.
Right.
Tell Dave and Tracy, you guys gotta come in and sign this.
I mentioned that.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, I was talking. to them.
Yeah, Kim. I'm in Florida, so have her email me the page and I'll sign it and mail it right
Okay.
back.
Okay.
All right, item 4 on the agenda tonight, it's also a continuation. We have conditional use approval. Application 17/2022. The owner is the Community School of Mount Desert. Agents are Nick Genet and Jasmine Smith. Location is 585 Sound Drive, Mount Desert, tax map 10, lot 161, and we're in a couple zones here. We're in Shoreland Residential 3, we're in Rural Woodland 3, and we're in the Resource Protection Zone. And the purpose is section 5.6, amendment to a previously approved conditional use application for an independent school that was CUA 10/2016 and CUA 12/2020. We had a site inspection at 3:45 today, and was this one advertised in the butters?
It was advertised, yep, in the December 29th edition of the Islander, and the butters notices were mailed out December 23rd.
Okay, and Meredith and I attended the site visit, and perhaps Meredith would want to first report on her observations from the site. There's
This is in a space inside of a barn that's been there all along. That they turned into some usable space right around COVID time, so it got kind of lost in the mix. It's just a fairly small room. Probably half the size of this room, at least, probably a third of the size of this room. Just one open room, kids have some woodworking space and
It's a single room in the back part of an existing barn structure that was permitted by the state fire marshal's office for classroom use, and is back before the board tonight as expansion of use on the property. And it was exactly that. It was a one room, probably. I think the plan showed like 19.6 by 23 feet. And with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant to elaborate on that expansion of use.
Sure. Yeah, like the mayor said, in the room, it was a workshop when we purchased it, and it has been turned into a woodworking space, and we made that change during COVID and went through the process of state fire marshal approval, and with the shuffle of COVID and getting yurts and platforms approved, we did not go through this last step of the formal conditional use permit, and apologies that was lost, and we are committed to keeping the town updated as we make changes, and would like to ask for approval for this space to be formally used for a classroom.
All right, and I'll ask if there's any public comment. Going once, twice. Okay, I'll close public comment.
I have something to ask.
Yes,
You move the chair that is immediately in front of the owl on the public side of the table. It's blocking the view.
no. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
That's much better.
All right, good. All right, well, let's get into the review of this one.
This seems very similar to the last application, except for it's a change to
So
a application and not a change of. But it is,
Amendment
it's
to,
an
it's an
amendment.
amendment, not a change to.
yeah, right.
So we're going through 6A, B, and C and 5.9. And I would, well, let's first find if the application is complete. We've got plans, the fire marshals. Permitting. It's one room on the interior of the building. The other thing they did submit for the record too is kind of a little table showing their cumulative square footage being used on the property. And remember that, you know, this particular use had a 5,000 square foot footprint limitation, and they're currently at 3854.
And is that with this area, or was that? Does
So-
it show the addition of this area?
Yeah, they actually included the classroom as 458 square feet. Yeah, the schoolhouse at the 2,500, the your classroom at 576, the picnic table covered area 320, and the classroom at 458.
So really, this application is, just for all of us clarification, is about the addition of square footage, because that was a big
Yeah.
deal with this being in the shoreland zone of a school. The square footage was limited, and this is an addition within their allowed amount, but it's just basically recording that they've how much square footage they have active as a school.
We are reviewing the expansion and use.
Yes, this an expansion of the square footage within the limited amount of use.
So do we think the application is complete?
I would say the application is complete.
Sounds like a motion.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Any considerations on using the short form
No,
checklist?
it's the one that you have in front of you,
This one,
which is ideally the short form.
yeah, but we could technically use the long.
Yeah, but you don't want to use them.
Well, we'll make a motion that we should use the short form.
Tracy, short form.
All right. All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy.
Oh,
Tracy's stuck.
Internet's going bad.
Oh, boy. Dave, we'll come back to Tracy.
Dave
Oh, she's-
Ashmore, aye.
Myself, William Hanley, I, Tracy.
Tracy Keller, I.
All right, short form it is. And then I guess I should ask if there is any conflict of interest on the board before we get into the review. None heard. And then we do our little thing where we make a motion to approve the application.
I make a motion to approve the application.
Tracy Keller, second.
And then we press pause, and now we go through the review of the application, and one of these days I'm gonna ask whoever created that protocol why we do it that way, but
Why is this not a amendment
it,
to the,
well, it is an amendment. I have a amendment. I
okay,
have
so
a,
it does recognize it. It's not
yeah,
a full application.
yeah, I should.
It's an addition to an old application.
Yeah, I should clarify that the short form checklist I'm using is not the standard short form. It's the short form with the amendment language on it, but essentially, we're going through 6A, B, and C and 5.9 because they're in the shoreline zone. And I would,
Well, I was just thinking for clarification, as we were talking about whether it was complete, that it was, that we had asked for all those maps
mhm,
for archaeological and stuff. And that the reason why this is complete
Yeah.
without those maps is because it's an amendment
correct,
to an application that had all that information.
correct.
Okay.
So there's.
Just in case anybody gets.
So I,
fussy.
so I got 6A, B, and C on here, but there's no 5.9.
This is not. Okay. I'll have to print it for
So
you.
let's,
Let's start it.
yeah, let's just get going. So we're going through 6A, general performance standards, 6A1, compatibility. And say C, application, erosion and sedimentation control. We've got a plan submitted, C, application. Highway safety, 6A3. You guys have your new 15 mph school zone there. So C, application. You technically say NA though, so I'm gonna say, correct that and say NA. 6A4, impact on town services, you say NA. Land suitability, 6A5. Application says NA. 6A6, lighting. Outdoor, you don't have any outdoor lighting proposed for the classroom.
Not any that wasn't existing there before.
Yeah. So
Anything.
NA 6A7, stormwater, there's no change in the existing
No
footprint.
plumbing in there.
No plumbing, NA 6A8, vegetation, say NA because there's no change in footprint, nothing's being removed. And 6A9, dust fumes, vapors, odors, and gases. I mean, that's some interior room. And the application says NA. So the findings of fact are that the findings of fact are as presented by the applicant and the attached application. And the conclusion was that proposed use is in compliance with all standards of section 6A.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
Right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. And then moving on, section 6B, specific performance standards for activities and land uses. Just following along here in their application, 6B1, agriculture, NA. 6B2, air landing sites, NA. 6B7, excavation and filling, NA. 6B8, fences and walls, NA. Sign regulations, NA. Wireless communication facilities, NA. Animal husbandry 2, NA. And mobile food vendors, 6B20, NA. So the findings of fact are that the proposed use will include none of specific activities, land uses described in section 6B, and the conclusion laws that section 6B is not applicable.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
Right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. Okay, it's just a little out of order here on the checklist for 6C, but because you guys are in the shoreline zone among two other zones, section 6C is shoreline zoning standards for review by the planning board. And just flip them to that here in your application. Section 6C1, we have agriculture, NA. 62 archaeological sites. And it's NA because you had previously submitted your archaeological mapping. 6C5, essential services. NA 6C6, parking areas. There's no additional parking being provided. 6C7, marine and freshwater structure standards. You guys aren't building a pier. 69, roads and driveways. There's no road or driveway creation or modification. And 6C11 is also NA for water quality. It's just the renovation of a pre-existing interior room. So NA. So section 6C, the findings of fact are that the proposed use include none of the specific activities or land uses described in section 6C, and that the conclusion of law section 6C is not applicable.
I so move.
Dave
Tracy.
Ashmore, second.
Oh, Dave got it.
Dave got it.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
myself, William Hanley, and we just gotta hold on a second until Kim gets back. Because where you guys are in the shoreline zone, we have to do the section 5.9 checklist, and that is not on the short form checklist.
You want to just start reading?
Yeah,
through
I'm
it?
just gonna start reading through it anyhow, so. Bear with me. Section 5.9 standards, so 5.9.1 will maintain safe and healthful conditions. Applicant says NA. 5.9.2 will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation, NA. 5.9.3 will adequately provide for disposal of all wastewater, NA. 5.9.4 will not have any adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat. NA. 5.9.5 will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. NA. 5.9.6 will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comp plan. NA. 5.9.7 will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a shoreline commercial district. You're not in a shoreline commercial district, so NA.
Bill, can I just say that we've discussed in the past that it's better when possible to put the standards been met rather than NA? And even though there's no impact to those things are relevant to the lot, and therefore it's actually, I would say that most of those are standards met rather than completely NA.
I would agree with that. However, our selection is NA, C application, and standard not met.
Ah.
And, you know, candidly, probably should say C application for all of these. But where we have previously reviewed this and
That's true. Well,
You
yeah. Yeah, C application makes it,
It sounds more affirmative.
well, it is an amendment to the original application, so even saying C application could say, see,
Yeah.
look at the greater application.
Mhm.
And then it's not just completely saying it's not it's a non-issue when it's not that it's not an issue, it's just adequate.
So-
Taking care.
If you would think that it needs to sound more in the affirmative, then we could ask the applicant to just go back and,
Just switch most of them over to C application, except for with the commercial fishery, it's just simply not in the commercial fishery.
yeah,
Um,
But even though we're talking about just a room within the existing space. the room
it's
Change of use does not impact the water, like the fishery.
right, and there's just a stronger application to say that the standards met, rather than saying it wasn't something that we needed to consider. And it is something we need to consider because you're in the shoreline zone, just.
Meredith, you want to mention your concern to Kim? Just,
I was just saying, we've discussed in the past is, where we can to not put NA, to put standards met.
yeah,
And this has only C application. But even with most of 5.9. If you include this in the context of the full application, that there's an amendment to the full application. Most of these things we're saying we probably should put into the C application and that the standards met. Rather than saying NA, like archaeological site, it's not that it's NA, it's that that's
Right.
the maps are there and. All these
To refer to
safety,
the original application.
Yeah, you should, there's, yeah, the amendments to, there's two applications there that they're amending. The last one was 2016.
so.
but I'm just saying, instead of saying NA, I think most of these should be moved over to the C application category rather than the NA.
Okay.
So you want them to change the,
So they all put NA?
yeah,
Yeah, is it just that 5.9?
Mhm.
Just have them, we'll just have them amend that.
all right.
Yep.
So we got to pull the original,
Yeah.
pull the original.
Now this is there. So. It's in here.
So Heidi, I'm going back through and changing all those to C application.
All right, sounds good. I can do that.
And then,
And you were up to 597. We have not done
598.
598.
yeah, 597 though is NA because they're not in the shoreline commercial district.
But they're not.
And then 598 will avoid problems associated with floodplain development, C application.
There's a floodplain map in here.
Yeah,
In there.
and then,
And then archaeological and
yeah,
habitat, all these maps are in there.
I changed them all to C application.
Yeah, their last application is 2020.
Yeah. And then 599 is in conformance with the provisions of 6A, B, and C, for which the standard has been met. And the findings of fact are C above, and the conclusion of law is that all requirements of section 5.9 have been met.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Permit conditions, do we need to say anything about like if there's any expansion of use on the property that they gotta come back to us?
No, I think they would know
Everybody,
that.
everybody gets
now.
that by now.
Yeah, no, I don't think you have to place any condition on that.
Any further discussion about this one? Right. None heard. I'm gonna circle back to my 8-track and press play on the vote for approval. So everybody In favor of approving the application, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Congratulations again.
You're allowed to have a classroom you already have.
Yes.
We'll see you again.
That, yeah, no. That, yep.
And do we need to then resubmit to make those amendments to C report or?
Just right now.
Rather?
Yes. We'll just have you review section 5.9.
You can do it right now.
Yeah.
You can just come up and sign.
Oh, just right now?
Yeah.
Just just come up and just. As the applicant, we'll just have you knock off all those and just either circle those and initial them. That'd be awesome. Oh, thank you.
Here's the-
What?
Should I sign this twice? Cause I
Yeah,
got
second
sick,
page,
they,
yeah, the
C and C.
Is that what she has that on the back? Yeah, no, just sign that last 5.9. Yep,
Yeah,
that one. It should be part of this anyways. And you got Meredith on there? too?
yeah.
Okay.
Right, let's keep the train rolling down the tracks. Here we
Thank you
have.
very much. Yep, that's good. Thank you, thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you
Good to see
very
you,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
The,
All right, thank you.
so item B under section 4 of conditional use applications, we have conditional use approval application 18/2022. And this is Rhea D. Lawrence Living Trust and James Lawrence. Agent is Roger Saint Amand, Atlantic Resource Co. Location 320 Sound Drive, Mount Desert, tax map 8, lot 67-001. The zone is shoreline residential 5. The purpose is section 3.4 and 6C7 marine structure. We're looking at a seasonal 3-foot wide by 40-foot long ramp with a seasonal 20-foot wide by 20-foot long float on the shore. And we had a site inspection at 3:15 and was this one advertised and abutters notified?
Yes, it was advertised in the Thursday, the December 29th edition of the Islander, and a butters notices were sent out on the 23rd of December.
All right, now I guess I should ask first if there's any conflict of interest in the board with this application. None heard. We had a site visit at 3:15 that Meredith and I attended. What were your observations, Meredith, from our site visit today?
It is a lovely bit of a shorefront with a lot of exposed granite. At the high tide line. Out into a quiet cove with a small island. In the center of it. There are no other docks or floats in this cove.
And it's a tidal cove, right?
It is a very tidal cove. I have experience going into this cove, so you can barely get in at low tide in a motorboat. I've kayaked in there.
Low tide, there's just a small, narrow, shallow channel in the middle of the mud flat.
Yeah. And there's an island in the center of the cove that is owned by the state and is a popular picnic spot, which is why I'm familiar with it.
Got it.
But it's very quiet and a lovely piece of property, and they did clarify that they understand that it's tidal and it's mostly for launching kayaks and paddle boards. Although they did say they won't exclude the possibility of wanting to access it. It's definitely possible to get in there with a motorboat when the tide is up. So.
Mhm. All right, Roger, I'll turn it over to you then to continue from there.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Hanley and the Planning Board for hearing this application. The Lawrence family would like to do a seasonal, or as the land use ordinance calls it, a non-temporary ramp and float, as Chair Hanley mentioned, to access the shore. They're proposing a 40-foot ramp and a 20 by 20 seasonal float. This would be in, obviously, during the summertime and would come out. There would be no permanent structures there. This would be pinned to the ledge and then removed and stored on the shore in an upland area. The access point to the ramp and float is on some bare ledge, and then there is an existing path that comes down very close to it that they plan to use. It's going to be a 3-foot by 40-foot ramp and a 20 by 20 wooden float. It's going to extend about 50 feet away from the shore, so it certainly won't be impacting any access to either the island or any other properties. And the only reason that float has to be 40 feet long is because there's a fairly steep ledge. If you'll see on the site plans, I believe in your application, it's a fairly good drop from the ledge down to the mud flat at low tide. So that's the reason for the 40-foot ramp, to be able to have that swing and not hit on the ledge there. I'm happy to take any questions or go through anything if the board has any questions.
Are the board members aware of where this property is? Tracy, are you familiar where this is?
Did look at the documents that were submitted, but I have never been there to the location to. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, so like Meredith was saying, there's the little island straight across in Sergeant Point, and it's a unique tidal cove right after the intersection of Sergeant Drive and Route 198. It's the first residential driveway heading north on 198 there. So it's, it's a really unique, little cove area there.
I would say my family are boaters and we went up and down this mountain for years, and then I don't know, probably when I was like 25. Somebody asked us if we'd ever been in that cove, and I was unaware that it was even there. And you go in and there's this sweet little island in there with the people going to picnic. It was quite a surprise and a delight to discover in the middle of some sound a pristine little cove.
And the reason I ask about the proximity of this, because this kind of has a lot of similarities. Do you guys remember when we reviewed the ramp and float thing over at on Mill Cove by Bartlett's Landing?
Yes, I do.
Kind of a very unique, special little spot like that as well. And this is I would say probably even more tidal than what we looked at in that case.
And I've been thinking about that, but the thing that we had with the other one was that all the neighbors objected. And so it was a
Exactly.
common grounds that everybody was upset about. Everybody's turned away. But it does strike me that as somebody who's gone to visit that island and knows other people who talk about going to that island,
Mhm.
all the people who would object to this project have no idea about it.
Yeah,
And I feel like it kind of needs objection of the public for us to have any grounds to consider blocking it. But it's difficult because I think that there is public that would object to it if they knew about it.
the island directly across from it is state owned.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the only privately owned property is at the end of Sergeant Point. And Sergeant Point's a little bit further back in the cove. So have we heard from any of the abutters?
I haven't
or-
heard from any of the butters, but it looks like one of the notices came back.
Mhm.
Eden National Park wasn't a butter, that
Yeah,
was notified. The Orsman's, Lynn Sage, which is what came back, which is directly beside this,
mhm.
and then, James Lawrence. I haven't heard from anyone, but like I said, this one came back.
So
Is-
I would say, sorry if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. So Wayne Merchant, who's the caretaker, is also here on the Zoom call. And I believe he's talked to at least one of the abutters and they didn't have an objection. I don't know which one. He could probably elaborate on that if needed. Or if not, I believe it was the abutter to the north.
Yeah, Wayne, any idea which abutter you talked to? He's got a.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, sorry about that. I'm new to this. I did not speak to the owner. I spoke to the caretaker at the Orsmans. And he said he would relay the message to her and he didn't think that it would be an issue. So that's the only information I have about it.
Roger, this is a seasonal ramp and float system. So you have essentially the ramp pinned to ledge and the float out in the water. When the season's over, what's happening to the ramp and the float?
Yep. So when the season is over, they're going to get set up on the shore. There's a spot that is not vegetated, kind of in between the ledge and the tree line, where this would sit up above the high tide line for the winter. And I believe they would come in and set it with a barge. They don't need to get down there and do any work in the shoreline zone other than just to reset that.
Is there any component of permanent structure then down on the shore?
No, there would be no structure that would be permanent. There will be some pins in the ledge. So the ramp itself, where it attaches to the land, there'll be a platform there. I think we specified 4 feet by 4 feet. And that's to be able to allow us to tie the ramp onto the shore because the ledge slopes off a little bit there. If we have that platform, which will also be removable, so it'll all come off, and there'll be some pins remaining at the end, just like you would see a property pin, I guess, just basically a steel pin in the ledge.
So one question I had is that low tide, it's sitting in the mud. Is there anything in the ordinance about that, about water underneath floats? Or,
We had that
Talked
worked
about
out.
the 6 foot, you had that.
With the
talk with
feedings.
Feeding peppers.
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought you had to have 6 feet, but you guys corrected me.
I remember that.
Because, I could understand where you got that from the wording, but it's
Yeah.
actually.
But we have approved other floats that at low tide are sitting in the mud.
You did, gentleman right here, coming in here. Berkeley. He was sitting at the bottom.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's up to, it's not a code concern, it's just sort of a like, well, if you don't have enough depth of water,
Yeah.
why do you want to do it? But if they want to spend the money on it, I don't think that's.
Yeah, you just have to follow your marine structure dimensional requirements. And then just making sure that, it's not more than 1/3 of the width of the cove area.
It's not 1/3 or more of the cove width.
It's not, that cove is, I don't know,
Yeah.
300 or 400 feet minimum, and
No,
we're
you can-
about
you
50.
can- You can see that on the maps that it is, the cove's much wider. I guess I'll ask if there's any public comment on this application? Going once, twice.
Bill, sorry, I was just getting unmuted. I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask, do you think that that opens a door? I know that, getting docks on Soam Sound, it's always a bit of a tricky thing. Do you think that, granting something like this that's on a smaller scale will rile up people who've been trying to get things on a bigger scale, especially in a cove that has nothing else? That's my only question. I'm not for or against it. I just curious since I'm listening.
Yeah, I mean, so it's, from a review standard, we got to make sure we're talking about apples to apples, a lot of the marine structures on some sound have a permanent pier component, they've got like fixed crib work and walkways, and then they have the ramp down to the float system. And here we're just talking about a seasonal ramp and a float. So, two different types of marine structures, but that's why I brought up the context of our Mill Cove review, because in Mill Cove, we had a much smaller structure like this. It was going to be the only structure in Mill Cove, and we had an outpour of abutters against it due to the small scale of the cove. This was going to be the only marine structure in it, and
Aesthetic.
yeah, it was definitely an aesthetic concern. And it wasn't just us. There were a handful of abutters in the cove that were objecting to it. So we haven't heard any objections on this.
It's concerning that the letter got returned. What is the policy?
Yeah.
Is there no,
What's the?
making sure that the
We have to go,
abutters?
we have to go by the address that the town has on
Right.
file.
Yeah, and if it doesn't go through, there's no,
Then they need to let us know what their address is.
Right.
There's this onus on the owners to make sure we have
that you're up to date,
proper,
yeah.
mailing address.
So Tracy, to answer your question, I think it's a contextual question, and the board's got to be mindful in their review of what this is and where it's at. In terms of it potentially influencing larger permanent structures on some sound, I don't see that connection, because that's not really what it is. But, I think, again, we need to be mindful about what it is and where it is.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other public comment? Going once, twice. All right, I'll close public comment and we'll get on with the review here. I guess I'll first ask if the board finds the application complete.
We get all those maps,
We got our maps.
our endangered species and archaeological.
Roger, did you submit? Yeah, you did. Yeah. You got a location map. Photos.
Yeah, I don't see the. Archaeological one.
Yeah, Roger, did you look at the archaeological map anywhere?
We have a letter to MHPC and the tribal notifications that will go in with the Army Corps permit. We did review the comprehensive plan and the archaeological sites in there, and there's nothing near the proposed ramp and float. I can provide the MHPC letter if you like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the more the merrier for the application completeness. Right, so,
Condition of. Make, but you can just condition that.
yeah, so we find it conditionally complete.
Yeah,
Is that a motion
I make a motion to find it conditionally complete
based upon?
based on providing the archaeological maps.
And that letter would be good too.
Yes.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Right. All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Thoughts on a short form?
I make a motion to use the short form.
Tracy Keller, second that motion to use the short form.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, I. Short form it is. I just gotta find it. Short form.
Oh, sorry. Miss Gavin, get the. You go to the form?
Yes, please.
Put
Oh, there we go.
the packet in the original, sorry.
Okay, short form it is, and then let's do our thing. Any motion to approve the application?
Meredith Randolph, I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that motion.
We'll press pause and we will go through the review of the application, so. Well, we start off with 6A, general performance standards, and 6A1 is compatibility. Is this proposed marine structure compatible with where it is being proposed? And when we're 6A1, just to remind the board, when we're talking about compatibility, we're talking about physical size, visual impact, proximity to other structures, and the density of development. And I'll say thank you to the applicant for your thorough 3-ring binder application submitted. And under physical size, the applicant talks about that the float is 20 by 20 and the ramp is 3 feet wide by 40 feet long, and the gangway will be 4 foot wide by 5 foot long. And the visual impact, the applicant talks about there should be limited visual impacts. Only a ramp and float will extend beyond the shoreline and will be a low profile structure. Sergeant Cove is a small cove on Somme Sound, and the proposed structures will not be visible from Somme Sound. Proximity to other structures, the applicant does state that there are no other similar structures in Sergeant Cove. And the density of development, they say NA, the proposed project is for a single residence. So under 6A1 compatibility, we can say C notes below, C application, or NA. C application.
What are the options?
C notes below, C application, or NA.
And notes below are,
Below the findings of fact and conclusion law, I just have several lines for notes. And remember on the Milco, we didn't get to Milco project, we didn't get too far into it with Well, we really didn't get past compatibility.
I just feel very torn because I don't think it's compatible with, it's obviously not compatible with the code, but I fully understand their desire and it's as minimal as it possibly can be, that they want easier access to the water, but I also know lots of people who I've had lots of conversations with that precious cove and how pristine it is, and it feels like it's a different place on this island to go in there that you aren't aware of the houses around it. You're not. It feels so quiet in there, right in the middle of the island. It's such a surprise to go in there and discover it. And to put a float in there, I'm like, man, it ruins it for everyone. But I completely empathize with the owners wanting of the property, like, why shouldn't they be able to put a float in?
I think what the owners are proposing, giving the geography of the shoreline there, is about as minimal as it can be. But then I'm also concerned about the specialness of
And then
Sergeant
the
Cove,
next, like,
and
what
this
if,
being the only structure in there.
and what if every owner of property on that cove decided that they wanted to do the same thing? It introduces the human presence that cove doesn't right now have.
And, you know, and the other concern I have is just, you know, well, the return letter from a primary butter. And two, just you know, despite our connected world, our time of year of this, and, you know, other, you know, abutters not being around, even though the town has sent a notification, I'm concerned if the other inhabitants of that cove are actually aware of the application. But that's somewhat speculation, other than the return letter from Oarsman.
Yeah, I think that you could say the whole thing about the whole of Somme Sound. You know, Somme Sound is a very special place. And at one time, there weren't any floats, there wasn't any development there. But we've allowed development in Somme Sound, obviously. And I really don't think that that reason is enough to say that float should not be there. I mean, it would be nice if the whole of Somme Sound didn't have any development whatsoever, but that's not the case.
But it's the first pier that goes in is the one that, you know, if there weren't any piers, then you'd be questioning whether you would allow the first one. And that's the case in this and the other project, is that it's not that it's nobody should, but nobody has, and therefore it has this was a PO box and what was done.
It's a gateway.
Yeah.
And it was returned. Yeah, curiously, the letter to the butter that was returned is actually a PO box in Northeast Harbor. No. I mean, candidly, I'm on the fence with this one, and part of me wishes this application was before us, like in July.
Mhm.
Can we ask an applicant to come back at a later?
Yeah.
No,
I know we can't.
you have to follow your ordinance.
Yes.
And I don't see that we've had the experience of lots of objection, and all the reasoning still applies here, but we don't have all the objectors. And I don't see how we stop it unless people have shown up to say that there are members of the public who object. Where,
You know, I've had people contact me as chair saying, how come we weren't notified about this? And then Kim and I go through the notification process and like, they're on the butters list, letters were sent out, who knows what happened to the letters that they claim that they didn't receive or were not notified about the project for, and you know, it's what do you do?
I concur with all that you've just spoken about, but I'm not sure what to do about it either.
Mhm.
well, I suppose if with nobody objecting, we can approve it and then make sure that the neighbors make a little effort to make sure that the neighbors know so that they can appeal it if they want. But I don't see that we have
Let's-
any,
Well, we're
No.
not gonna go to any extra efforts if we end up approving it to notify anybody. I mean, once we vote on it, it's said and done
I
unless,
mean, we've notified the abutters as required.
yeah, we've
I
followed.
can't
the-
help that somebody's unfortunate, someone immediate came back. All we have to do is follow what the conditional use section of the ordinance says, which is we have to notify the abutters. The abutters went out, notification went out December 23rd. You know, we haven't heard, I didn't hear from anybody, and Wayne Merchant said he spoke to the caretaker of the other abutter directly
Mhm.
next to him, who seemed to think maybe there was no objection. I'm sure Wayne might have, or the caretaker might have spoken to Wayne to let him know what the oarsmen thought. They got an abutters notice as well. You know,
Was the state part of the notification?
no,
But if it's,
Katy
They're-
National Park is,
But the state
so
isn't. a
they're
butter.
across the street. No, they're not. They're across the water, but we don't have to notify across the
No,
water.
of course not.
no,
Right.
so we either find it 6A1. C application, C notes below, or NA for compatibility.
Why is there C notes below?
I
Is
don't.
that new?
It's-
Can I see that?
it's just, it's why.
Usually it's C application. C notes below, C application or NA. C notes below must be this.
No, it's the notes below that, right? That we would, if we had notes, we would,
Oh, I see, down
Yeah.
here. Oh,
yeah.
I see, on each section, the findings.
How about,
You guys have never done that.
because
Sorry.
we often have. Requirements at the end,
Conditions.
Conditions.
conditions. And it says the requirement for our review is compatibility. Can we put a not compatible condition? Letters, actually not caretakers saying that they. Thought there wouldn't, that they talked to somebody, but it isn't evidence. Can we put a condition, you have approval on the condition that you get letters from the adjacent properties saying that they're okay with it?
I mean, they've been notified.
I know,
You
but
know.
it is not compatible. We are on ground
If
because
you're saying it's not compatible, then you're gonna knock this, you're not gonna vote to approve this then, if you get, of course, a 3-1 vote.
Mhm.
well, I guess it's just not the way that we've done it in the past. It's sort of grounds to deny something. But if you just said, in an isolated condition, is this float compatible with its surrounding? I'd say no, there are no other floats around. It's not compatible, but that's not really how we've treated that question in the past. We've sort of said, is compatibility a reason to?
Yeah, but compatibility can fail if one of the review criteria isn't met, like visual impact or physical size or density of development or proximity to other structures. And in this case, I think what we're kind of alluding to here is the visual impact of this. You know,
And
it's,
proximity to other structure, there are no other
yeah,
peers around, I mean, it has a non-compatibility. I guess that's what I'm just saying in terms of. Making us feel like it's okay, it is the incompatibility that's making us uncomfortable, and if they can get letters from. The other owners of property on the cove saying that they're fine with it, then I don't see that we have any grounds to block them, but we don't have that evidence. And I understand that that's not required, but we
Well,
could require it of you.
well, I think that, I don't know, I'd be.
What if letters come back saying we don't like it, we don't
Yeah.
want it?
Well, then
See,
they don't get it.
but I see
Well,
that's
you
what,
conditioned it,
but that's what the appeals process is.
that's
for.
right.
You know, we need to just we either find in favor or not of it. And if, you know, if it were to be appealed, then I would think the applicant would strengthen their appeal by going to the neighbors and acquiring, you know, letters of support for the project. And when it comes back to us, you know, I would think that then it would be addressed at that point.
And if I could just add in, that it is all temporary. I mean, there's no fixed pier going here, so if, you know, this does get appealed or gets approved and get appealed, you know, there's no sort of permanent structure or impacts that are going to be present if it has to come out for some reason. And I think Dave, Chairman, I'm sorry, Chairman, you're not Chairman yet, Dave. Member Ashmore did make a valid point about this. You know, Soame Sound does have piers throughout the sound, and, you know, ideally, if we had the choice, we wouldn't have, you know, probably any development anywhere, you know, it would be all pristine. But I mean, I think the fact is that some development is expected to be seen when you're out on Soame Sound, and, you know, the Lawrences have a, you know, beautiful shoreline that they would really like to use. And I think part of their issue is with the ledge, it's difficult to access down to the water. And that's really the reason for having that seasonal ramp, is to be able to access that at different tide levels. And
We had exactly the same discussion on the Mill Cove project, and the curious thing was, of course, there were piers in the vicinity of Mill Cove. There weren't actually float or ramp systems in Mill Cove, and, you know, but then it was you know, the voicing of opposition was much different than the non-opposition we're hearing here. But again, it's just the precedent of it. And I totally hear what Dave's saying is like, hey, look, you know, the development has been established, it's there, it continues to be there, but we're talking about a very unique cove off of Soame Sound. It's, you know, it's not even really visible from Soame Sound. So
I feel like it's even the fact that we have allowed development everywhere is what makes this of value, that you can't find a cove that isn't full of floats and ramps. And
like, I think about Keating's float over in the cove off of Soamesville. I mean, there were other ramps and floats over there. I think of some of the other ramps and floats we looked at, you know, even way up in the harbor here in Northeast, or you know,
it's a
I mean, there's always been something else there already.
I would say that it's the shore, the waters are common ground, shared asset. And whether one person's use depletes the shared usage. And in most situations, adding a float doesn't have a significant negative impact on the shared common use of things. Whereas when you have a little tiny cove that has no floats on it, that one person's interest negatively impacts lots of other people. But the problem is nobody's here objecting to it, and that's where I don't know where the grounds are that we have to stand on.
Well, again, the ground we can stand on is the visual impact review criteria under compatibility. And I kind of feel like we should just have a vote here, someone make a motion and have a.
I've got one more comment.
Yes, please.
The compatibility says it shall be compatible with permitted uses within the district. It doesn't say within the cove. And the other thing is, if this is an area that should be protected, and that's what we're kind of saying, it should be resource protection, but it's not. I think we're trying to make this section stricter than what it's meant to be.
But I think the review and the protection of the code is somewhat our duty as the planning board, though, Dave. Resource protection, if I'm not mistaken, that's
That's got to do with topography and
wildlife
size,
habitat
and floodplain.
that kind of thing. And this was I want to say the Mill Cove zoning was similar, either SR3 or SR5 to this. So again, it's compatibility does have somewhat subjectivity to it with visual impact, and that's again just what I'm getting hung up on, and it seems like maybe a sticking point for Meredith too, and possibly Tracy. So I just think we should maybe make a motion on compatibility and see if we can soldier on or not. I know you're thinking of a motion.
I'm completely confused. I guess I just don't, it was clear to me when all the neighbors showed up and objected.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there are lots of people that are going to be upset and heartbroken. They're not here. And that is my personal experience of that cove, and that I know lots of people who love that cove and talk about whatever they call it, Five Tree Island, or in other people don't know about it, and that it's just this quiet little cove. And it is the fact that nobody has floats in there that makes it not feel like you're sitting in the middle of other people's properties. The presence of a float is going to make it suddenly apparent that you're right next to other people's privacy. But I also, I guess but I understand Dave's point of view. There's a lot of me that thinks they're not here to object, and therefore I don't know what to do.
Again, as chair, I get a bit more of I take a bit more of the lumps sometimes from the public about awareness of applications and how could you guys do that and how could you do this and that kind of thing. And I feel like this is a textbook example of lump inducing application review, where actually I look at the municipal process we have here of the planning board, the appeals board review, we all know it can go beyond that and still come back to us. But that discussion and awareness of it is is a good thing, and it might be a beneficial for the abutters, the process, and the town at large, as if this were not to be found compatible, and a discussion about it could continue and might be a bit more productive discussion in the appeals process, as more might be aware of what is being proposed here. And I'm not, and again, I'm on the fence with it, but being a facilitator of a process, I'm just trying to move things along here. And
I think you can make the argument that our job as the planning board is to protect the common interests of the town.
absolutely.
And that
then-
we could say that we see this as an asset of the town, that one person's interests would have too negative an impact on.
Well, remember, we have referred to the planning board's mission in the context of other decisions we have made. And just, makes me think of what our purpose is here with all of this. We have the planning, but where's the planning board's purpose?
Is it in your,
Lose
no, it's not, it's a separate one, your organization, you mean, planning
yeah,
board organization? It's a separate ordinance.
yeah, no, I only got the. Lose.
You don't have it?
I don't know, without, not trying to drag this out as longer than necessary, but I do think we need to get a motion on compatibility on the table.
Do you want to just put it to vote?
Yeah. So we can.
So we
figure
have
out-
to
figure
make
out.
a motion that it's that the standards of 6A1 have been met.
Right, so. Well, what I'm kind of specifically getting at here is I think we need a motion specifically relative to 6A1 compatibility. And because if we're, if we can't get past compatibility, then it's just.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that make a motion to.
And-
So that we take the question of compatibility to vote.
Right, and when we're, just as Robert's rules, remember, when making motions, we're trying to formulate motions in the affirmative,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if we were to have a motion, it would be something to the effect of
Yeah.
the planning board, based on the discussion, the board finds that relative to 6A1 compatibility.
You get Roger's hand up.
Yeah, sorry, Roger, go for it.
I didn't want to interrupt. You could finish your thought, but I just wondered if it would be helpful if the applicant provided some additional information about the compatibility, whether that be some more like a photo simulation of how the pier would fit in with the natural landscape. I don't know where we are in the process, if we would, need to table that, or if you could request more information.
Yeah, well, Roger, that's actually an interesting suggestion, because of an immediate suggestion is, could we table this one to a date certain and you guys come back with more information to that effect? Perhaps with, letters from the immediate abutters and additional information supporting the compatibility of the project in its context.
I think you want Roger to be the one pulling the application at this time rather than us tabling.
Okay,
Even Roger, if you ask us to table it and decide to go get yourself more evidence because you feel like the application is too at risk at this moment, you can ask us to stop.
As far as timeline goes, does it make a difference if we request that the application be tabled versus the board requests additional information in which we provide at the next, say, meeting or whatever?
Well, you have an option. You could either continue it to the next meeting, which would be January 25th. We don't have to re-advertise it. We don't have to set abutters notices again. Or you can ask to have it tabled, and then we just, once you get your documentation that you feel that you got together, then we can just, once you give it to us, we can schedule it for our next meeting, but it gets advertised and abutters notices get sent out again.
I think that might strengthen your application, Roger, if you just tabled it, get your stuff together, we re-advertise it and re-notify. And then if, okay, we've notified everybody twice then, and if there's no objection, then there's no objection, and we did our due diligence twice,
I think given the discussions that we've been having that extra notification to the abutters seems like a good idea to me, especially where one of the letters did get returned. I don't want that to be something that holds us up, or holds up the applicant down the road. So I would say at this point, we would request to table it and come back with some additional information on compatibility.
do we need to vote on
Yes.
tabling?
Yes,
But the applicant's the one who's asking to table it.
and now you're gonna vote to just table it, that he's gonna table it.
And we're gonna vote to table it per the applicant's request.
Okay. I am,
I do have another suggestion. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we should look through the application quickly and see if there's any other information that we would want them to bring back, rather than that we've only talked about one item.
So why don't we scan through the checklist really quick then? So erosion and sedimentation control, I mean, you're in the water, highway safety, impact on town services, land suitability, lighting, stormwater, vegetation, dust
Is there
fumes.
any lighting?
Is there any lighting
No.
on the pier?
No.
No. Dust fumes, vapors, odors, and gases, and then when you go on to 6B, I mean, again, that's agriculture, air landing sites, fences and walls.
All NA.
Yeah, it's all NA. 6C is shoreline, so we've got agricultural, archaeological sites, we're getting that, essential services, parking areas, marine and freshwater structure standards. And maybe we should just jump to,
Archaeological site, he's gonna have to put applicable standard met if he gets something in writing. He's got
Yeah.
Not applicable.
well, Roger's gonna change that,
Oh, okay.
but the 6C7, the
Mhm.
marine standards,
Yeah, you should have the.
Yeah. Access from shore, interference with existing uses and beaches, effect on fisheries, wildlife, size. Yeah, the no new structures, that just mean you can't build a structure on a structure. New permanent piers and docks, it's not conversion to dwellings, we're not doing that. The height limit, the conditional use permit required. Interference with natural flow. Encroachment on navigation, mooring area, dimensional limits. The dimensional limits, maximum length is 225 feet. The length of all permanent structures, there are none, is 150 feet. Maximum length of all non-permanent is 75 feet. You're 40 and 20. Roger.
He's got that in the
Yeah,
application.
Yeah, it's in the application. The maximum width of the walkway is 6 feet. He's less than that.
Is there any moorings in there?
Yeah, are there moorings in Sergeant Cove?
There's no moorings for boats associated with this
Yeah, there's-
project at the moment. There could be one in the future. But I don't think that we're proposing that now.
First comment from the harbor master.
Yeah, and we shall request comment from the harbor master. The square footage of floats is 400 square feet. It's not a communal marine structure. So yeah.
Is there, I don't know if this is even my place, but I keep on thinking, if they're talking about just kayaks and paddleboards and access to the water, has anybody suggested just putting in stairs over the stone ledge? So it's not quite as intrusive into the cove?
I can respond to that.
Yeah.
So I think part of the problem is that when storing the kayaks and the paddle boards is there's no place along the shore right there to be able to store those without having to drag them way up. So part of that is they would store the kayaks and paddle boards on that float, which is why it was as big as we proposed. We initially thought of a smaller float, but then being able to store that without having to drag it up over the ledge would be helpful.
Yeah.
So really just the harbor master comment on the.
We don't have comment from harbor master?
I don't think so, no. Roads and driveways, water quality are the remaining criteria is 6C, and then 5.9. I mean, safe and healthful conditions, water pollution, wastewater.
Have you
Adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life. Do you have anything about, I mean, it's sitting on in the mud at low tide. Is there anything additional from? Does anybody regulate the mud?
There's no, there's no eelgrass or aquatic vegetation in there. I did discuss this application and this permit with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they didn't have any objection to it. It's a notification. It's not a full permit for them. It's just a notification within 2 weeks, sort of like a permit by rule. But we could certainly provide documentation on the from Fish and Wildlife and Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. And if it would help, I mean, we could submit that self-verification notice to the Army Corps. We hadn't done that yet because typically it's just a notice and we would like the town approval. Kind of a chicken or egg thing, but happy to do that.
Do you have an application? Do you have to get an application from the inland fishery or the DEP or?
No, because it's a temporary seasonal structure. It's not regulated by the DEP. It's exempt.
And it's above the
Considered
water.
minimal impact.
Yeah. And the connections above the high tide line. Yeah,
Are you showing on the plan anywhere where you're storing this in the
I-
off season?
I don't believe we do, but we certainly could.
Yeah.
Would that help?
And just and two about the process of storing it. How do you get a 20-foot by 20-foot float up on the shore?
It says it's gonna be barge, right?
Chalmers.
Oh, Chalmers comes.
Chalmers.
Yeah. Got it. Got it.
I do have a question on the harbor master review. Is that in the ordinance that, so I know where specifically, I want to make sure I meet that. And then if not, if it's just a conversation, that's fine. Happy to have that.
Number 12.
It's
It's
number,
number 12 under section 67.
67.
Mooring area, it says the planning board shall request comment from the harbor master in cases where the applicant proposes to build a marine structure in any, in an officially designated mooring area.
We'll talk to the harbor master. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I
boring.
don't know if it's a designated mooring area.
Thank you.
have the harbor master tell you that.
I make a motion to approve tabling the application
Just,
for the request of the applicant.
any second?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Thanks for bearing with us, Roger.
Thank you for reviewing it. And thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration. We will regroup and see what we come up with. Thank you.
Sounds good. All righty. Next. And I would encourage everybody to keep their application for that one. (8:09). Mhm. All right, item C under conditional use applications, we have conditional use approval application 19/2022. Owner name 5 Crabs Realty Trust, agent is Greg Johnston, GF Johnson and Associates. Location is 125 Peabody Drive, Seal Harbor, tax map 3, lot 35. Zone shoreline residential 2, purpose section 3.4, non-commercial outdoor recreational facility, a 14-foot by 10-foot hot tub. We had a site inspection at 250 and was this one advertised and butters notified.
Yes, it was advertised in the Islander on the December 29th, and a butters notices were sent out December 23rd.
All right, and I'll ask for any conflict of interest on the board. And the only thing I'll disclose is that we will be likely doing some future work on the property for our architecture firm, documenting some existing condition we haven't done or engaged in services yet, so I don't feel I have any conflict of interest on this one.
How is the conflict of interest stated?
I just stated the.
No, but I mean, in terms of what the town says, conflict of interest, haven't you told us before the like
Yeah.
parameters sort of when something is a conflict of interest?
Well, it's technically, I'm saying like a bias. So you got a monetary or you're related to
Okay,
the person.
I'm not related to this project and
he has no monetary benefit from this project, so
no.
Then he can, if you guys agree, then he can stay on. Now that he's disclosed his.
Tracy, did you understand?
Yes, I heard it all and understood, and I think that's okay.
Dave, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right, I'll soldier on. All right, we had a site visit at 2:50. And perhaps Meredith, you could tell us about your observations from the site visit. I did too. It was a lovely afternoon and a gorgeous sunset, and Greg was there and walked us down to where the hot tub area was going to be. It's kind of on the west side of the property, just right on kind of the precipice right there to the shore. There is a existing low stone wall there that's kind of defining the boundaries of where the hot tub is going. It's going to be built up from the existing grade, extend above that wall. There's going to be a shed further up towards the driveway, I assume, for all the mechanicals and things that make hot tubs hot tubs. You know, and it's you know, there was no discussion about ledge removal or anything like that. You're just kind of building atop this kind of hemmed in area right down on the kind of cliff face there. Meredith, any other further observations?
I guess I just point out that the area is already defined by a man-made little stone wall. It's like a little level area that almost begs for a hot tub to go there. Before the cliff, a very steep cliff drops off. I just was looking at the site maps. I assume that it's outside of that cliff is so steep. I suddenly thought, is that within 75 feet of the water horizontally? And there, I don't see any indication.
There is a line, I could elaborate it here.
It's there.
That's what they, yeah.
I assume
Yeah,
it's 75 feet, but
It's outside.
okay.
Part of the existing site wall extends into the 75-foot setback, but it looks like the tub itself is well on the side of the 75-foot line. It should be.
That's correct. I think I would want to add to the site that the purpose of raising is up. You can see that as Meredith described, there is a plateau, and the planning method is keeping it up on that plateau. Solid rock is a little bit of moss, but a good base will be a giant wall. It's tucked in. There's the design of it keeps the large trees you can see on either side of it, and shifts a path, and so it's certainly not visible from offsite where it is. And they're enhancing with landscape around it. The access to it is through an existing path and landscape area, which is straight, requires no tree removal. And they have, probably 6 to 8 parking spaces directly on site. There's concern sometimes on off state highway of parking and congestion, but there's plenty on site, particularly if we are able to get to it in the off season. With regard to abutters, I would just add that we had discussed with abutters on both sides. I believe they've been notified, and the abutter to the west has given a setback release and informed, and the setback release, which we discussed on site, is specific to this plan, which was shared with them. So I think with that, I would just round it off to say that for compatible reasons, it's residential, it's not public, very private. And I guess we pass it off to the board to continue their review, consistent with the ordinance. And I'd also like to say, Jacob Citron is with us tonight, the owner of 5 Crabs Realty Trust. So he's on, and if I can't answer any questions, I'm sure he can help as well.
All right, thank you. Well, it's a gorgeous spot for a hot tub.
We are hopeful that you will react favorably to the application. We do appreciate your thoughtful consideration.
Thanks.
Make a vote, do we have,
Yeah, well,
made
let's,
the application complete?
yeah, let's see if the public has any comment, any comment from the public? We've only got 2 in the room here and they're associated with the project. And anybody online, any comments?
I'll comment, Bill, just to put some comments out. Who's gonna see it from the water? So if a boat's going by, are they, 5 heads bobbing around and drinking wine and partying? Or is it tucked away and nobody's gonna see it? Again, I don't care. I'm just listening, so I'm giving input.
All right,
Thanks. I'd like to address that, I think there's several trees you could see on that downslope. But I would not say that if somebody wants to get close to anybody's house and peer through the woods, they could see as much as they wanted to. So no removal in that buffer needs to happen. Can you see through the trees on the shoreline? In many places, I think you can. So, but there's certainly no more exposure with this.
how elevated is this from like the water level?
It is elevated, I'm gonna say. Awesome. More than probably 50+ feet.
And
It's pretty high up and it's pretty well surrounded by vegetation
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be removed. There's sort of a surprisingly quiet or, private feeling little pocket that just exists there.
I think that's a good question, right?
Mhm.
Is it overhanging and what does it look like? I think there's substantial amount of trees. You can see on the application.
You're,
There's no way.
you're- yeah, you're pretty high up in the water line and you got a pretty dense shoreline. The tree growth and.
Personally, if it were my hot tub, I'd be more concerned as the owner that you have privacy. As a passerbyers.
That's
Start
true.
looking.
Tracy, from the site visit, it definitely did not feel like a visible spot, like you were out there on a platter waving at everybody going by. I mean, you were definitely in the woods there. I mean.
You might even get away without a swimsuit if you wanted to,
Mhm.
on an evening by yourself,
It sounds nice.
Mhm. And then there's, relative to the abutter, there's a pretty solid fence along the property line there.
There is.
Probably a 6-foot fence at least, so.
Existing.
All right, any other questions from the public? All right, going once. Twice. I'll close public comment then, and let's move on to the review of the application. So first things first, let's get a motion to find the application complete.
I make a motion to find the application complete.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley. And then any thoughts on using the short form?
I make a motion to use the short form.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. And then, any motion to approve the application?
I make a motion to approve the application.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, let's press pause and review the application. I've got the short form checklist in one hand and the application in the other, and let's go through it.
Mr. Chairman, do you have an extra copy of the short form?
We have one to follow
Yeah.
for the next application, but certainly
Mhm.
just don't write on it.
Okay, 6A1 compatibility. The 10 by 14 hot tub. Visual impact, the proposed area is well buffered and the proximity to other structures, the equipment sheds up the hill. And it's 32 feet from the existing residential structure and there's no change in density of development. So C application, erosion and sedimentation control, they've got it on the plan. C application, highway safety. He's got plenty of on-site parking. C application, impact on town services. The applicant says that it doesn't request any new town services, so C application. Land suitability. It's planned in a raised enclosed area. C application. Lighting outdoor. There is low voltage downward pointing LED lights lower than 1800 lumens. And they are only as a guide to walking paths. So C application, stormwater. Applicant says it's not going to alter the existing stormwater flow or paths. The main DEP BMPs will be in place. C application, vegetation. You've got an existing lawn area where it's going, some no trees being removed. C application, dust fumes, vapors, odors, and gases. Applicable standard met, so C application. So the findings of fact are as presented by the applicant and attached application. In the conclusion of the law is that the proposed use is in compliance with all standards of section 6A, for which the standard has been met.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. So moving on to section 6B, specific performance standards. Agriculture is NA, air landing sites, NA, excavation. Applicant says the only excavation associated with the project will be required for the construction of the tub as fill. So C application, fences and walls. Applicant says that the IRC required fence less than 48 inches will be installed by threading through proposed plantings and landscape around the hot tub. So C application, sign regulations, NA, there are no signs. 6B18, you're not proposing a cell tower, NA. And 6B19, animal husbandry, NA. 6B20, you're not having a food truck. 6B21, rooming house, NA. And 6B22, you're not proposing a hotel or a motel. So the findings of fact of the proposed use will include none of the specific activities or land uses described in section 6B, except for 6B7 and 6B8. In the conclusion of law is that section 6B is not applicable except for section 6B7 and 6B8, for which the standard has been met.
I so moved. See if I'm not moving.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Dave got it. All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy, you're still frozen. Are
Oh.
you?
I think I'm okay. Tracy Keller, I.
All right, and myself, William Hanley, I. So where we are in the shoreline zone, we have section 6C shoreline zoning standards for review. So 6C1 agriculture, NA 62 archaeological sites. Got a map in here about that.
Previously developed and not in the area identified in the comprehensive plan.
See application. 6C5 essential services. NA 6C6 parking areas. They say NA, there's no parking areas being created for this. 6C7 marine and freshwater structure standards. NA, you're not building a pier. 69 roads and driveways. No road or driveway being constructed. NA 6011 water quality. You say the applicant says that the proposed project will not impact the water quality. All soils permanently stabilized with landscaping. You say NA, but you haven't answered there. Should we say C application?
So the question in 6C11 is stated as discharge to states of the water any pollutant, which I believe is not applicable. Though I think some explanation on the care is necessary by the question. I guess I will leave it up to the board. I think it's not applicable because no pollutants are there, but I feel to a statement of water quality is warranted. So there's two parts.
Does it not use chlorine?
It does,
So wouldn't that be, isn't there
but
some?
it's not discharged to it. They come and they clean it and they take it.
Do you want to ask them where the water goes?
Well, haven't we had that discussion that the trucks come and
Yeah,
take your water away for you?
yeah. In some places, other places, if they go to the treatment plant, you have to actually treat it, change the pH before it goes.
So I guess that to me would indicate that you need to say applicable standard met. You do have water quality issues. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's fine. We can initial that, but my point was that we're not discharging the waters of state, so I didn't think it was applicable.
Well, do you want to
Come
say
initial
that? Do you want to say that though on the application?
I just said it and I'll initial it.
Yeah,
but I think we've had the discussion about that NA tends to be, if we can say applicable standard met, that's a stronger position to take than ever saying NA. And just by the fact that we've had a conversation about this at all means that it's not NA, that there's some context in which we've had the conversation, so I'd say,
Greg,
Completely agree.
yeah.
Yep,
Greg, I'm gonna mark C application.
understood. I'll actually.
So findings of fact, proposed use will include none of the specific activities or land uses described in section 6C except for 6C2 and 6C11. And that the conclusion laws section 6C is not applicable except for 6C2 and 6C11, for which the standard has been met.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Myself, William Hanley, aye. All right, because you're in the shoreline zone, then we go through section 5.9. And 5.9.1 will maintain safe and healthful conditions. See application. 5.9.2 will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation of surface waters. See application. Will adequately provide for disposal of all wastewater. Say NA.
And we're saying C application. Isn't that the same as we just had the conversation about?
Is the water from the hot tub considered wastewater?
Oh,
No.
isn't it? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
It's very clean water, that's why you use it.
but you're wasting it. You're done with it, so you're dumping it. That's fine. Okay.
5.9.
No peeing in pool.
5.9.4 will not have adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, or other wildlife habitat. They say NA. 5.9.5 will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. They say NA. 5.9.6 will protect archaeological and historic resources. See application. Will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in shoreline commercial zone. NA. You're not in that zone. Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development.
There's a flood map in there.
Yeah, see application and plus you're 50 feet above sea level. At least, and then 5.9.9 is in conformance with provisions of section 6A, B, and C, in which the standard has been met. The findings of fact are as see above, and the conclusion of law is all requirements of section 5.9 have been met.
I so moved.
Tracy Keller, second.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. Are there any permit conditions to this application? None heard, then we circle back to our tape player and press play, and all those in favor of approving the application, Meredith,
Randolph, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. Congratulations.
Thank you board for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And you guys have another application to come in and sign,
What is that? This is one I saw.
Tracy and
I
Dave,
don't know what's that. Thank
Meredith.
God you. Scribble.
Okay, Tony, we got 26 minutes.
Yeah, awesome. That's great.
Well, let's roll.
Yep,
Can I have the sign?
yes.
Thanks, Camp.
All right, last item tonight, we have conditional use approval application 2022. Owner is the town of Mount Desert, Seal Harbor Beach. Agent is Tony Smith. He's a consultant. Location 309 Peabody Drive, Seal Harbor, tax map 30, lot 001. Zone resource protection, purpose section 3.4, excavation or filling, shoreline stabilization site, and we had a site inspection at 2:30, and we're the abutters and notified, and this one
Yes,
advertised.
Advertised December 29th, and the Islander and the butters notices were sent out December 23rd.
And I don't know if the planning board remembers this, but Tony was before us about a year ago for this one, and we approved it. And just a permit lapse, they never got to it, and now they're back before us. So
Meredith was not at this one.
I was gonna say, I don't remember it at
It
all.
was August 25th of 2021. You weren't there.
yep, so
I remember.
Any-
We were hiking.
any observations, Meredith, from our site visit today?
We arrived with the women coming out of the water from their regular marinating.
There were
Um,
people swimming at the beach.
Are you kidding
That's what
me?
I thought they were doing.
Burr.
And they hang out.
Mhm.
They said they were in for 10 to 15 minutes, but anyway. So this was when you enter the beach. From the parking lot is all the way over to the left, so that would be east, I guess.
Yep.
It's mostly sand, but down at that area, the erosion is a bit more of a rocky area, but there's lots of, there's a beautiful tree there that looks like it's floating at this point because the shore is eroded out from underneath it. And it's quite evident that they need to put some
Is that
reinforcement.
the swing on it?
Yeah,
Oh, by the swing?
Is right, yeah, the
By the-
swing was,
yep.
is just
Yeah.
past this area.
I would say from the last time I was there, there was noticeably more erosion.
Really? Yeah.
Dennis
Schubert.
Herbert was there and he said that they, in the last storm, they probably lost 4 feet
Wow.
of soil there, so.
Yeah. Anything you would like to add to that? Tony?
The town may come before you later on, not this year, but next year for another permit to stabilize in front of the swing set. But in response to Dr. Schubert's concerns, we have the color and the shape covered in the specs. And the owner gets of the stone, of the rock. There won't be any jagged gray blasted ledge. The owner has the final say on the rock that can be used in that area.
That was Mr. Sherbert's primary question at the
Yes.
site that was, with, that the. you
Oh,
know,
I'm
what is-
sorry. Yep.
What's the rock being used and can it be indigenous looking rock?
Yeah. Yeah, and he pointed out an area back towards Northeast Harbor between the state road and the beach where the DOT had used big blasted jagged ledge. The jagged ledge is good in areas because it'll lock in place. But we've got this one covered with the shape of rocks and the color.
Right.
I've run into this once before many years ago.
All right, well, I'll ask for any public comment on this.
Greg's all set.
Yeah, where'd Tracy go?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, she's okay.
I'm here. I'm just have inconsistent coverage.
Dozed
no,
off.
No, I didn't
No,
doze off.
no worries. The other Tracy that was offering public comment.
Oh, no, she signed off. She said, good
Oh,
night.
God.
Do we have another mystery? Last time we had the mystery initials. We have the mystery initials, I guess.
I know what it is.
You do.
All right, so. Public comment going once. Twice. All right, I'll close public comment and let's get on with the review of the application. I guess we need to, well, I should ask, is there any conflict of interest on this one? None heard. Is the application complete?
I make
Are
a
you-
motion to find the application. I make a motion to find the application complete.
Tracy Keller, second.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Any thoughts on using the short form checklist?
I make a motion, we use the short form.
Tracy Keller, second, short form.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, I. Go get my short form.
Hang on, he
You
wrote on it. That's what I
wrote
told
on
him
it.
not to.
That's all the chatter over there.
Okay, so let's do any motion to approve the application.
I make a motion to approve the application.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, let's press the pause button and go through the review of the application. I have the short form checklist before me and the application, and let's go through it. So compatibility. Applicant refers us to page 3 of the application. The aerial photo, the area being improved, you can see the erosion. See application, erosion and sedimentation control, 6A2. Just flipping that page in the application. They talk about how to use silt fence and hay bales and BMPs, the application, highway safety. The shoreline stabilization won't alter the use of the property, see application. Impact on town services, says NA. Land suitability, 6A5. Yeah, it's to protect the road.
It's kind of, the land is not suitable, and that's why it needs this.
Exactly, see application,
Severe erosion.
lighting, NA. Stormwater, 6A7.
Excuse me.
This is not a lighting issue.
Applicant says NA, there's development that is not being proposed. The stormwater runoff will continue in its natural course. Vegetation, 6A8. It's a NA. Dust fumes, vapors, odors, and gases, NA. So the findings of fact are presented by the applicant, and the attached application and proposed use is in compliance with all standards of section 6A for which the standard has been met.
Are they gonna get to keep the tree?
Are you keeping the big tree, Tony?
We're going to try. Yes, that was included. Yep. In my cover memo, I'd mentioned it.
Yeah, sorry.
Gonna try.
All right, we need a motion on 6A.
Did you say all of your gobbledygook?
Yes.
I make a motion, whatever he said.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and myself, William Hanley, I. So 6B, specific performance standards. Agriculture, NA, air landing sites, NA, 6B7, excavation.
This is to stop
Yeah,
excavation.
they say,
Yeah,
they say C application, fences and walls, 6B8, NA, cell towers. Oh, sorry, sign regulations, 6B16, NA. 6B18 cell towers, NA, 6B19 animal husbandry, NA, 6B20 food trucks, NA. 6B21 rooming house, NA, and 6B22 hotels and motels, NA. So the findings of fact of that proposed use will include none of the specific activities and land uses described in section 6B, except for 6B7. And the conclusion of law is that section 6B is not applicable except for section 6B7, for which the standard has been met.
I so move.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. All right, then 6C shoreline zoning standards, agriculture, NA, archaeological sites. They say applicable standard met, and they got a site map and MHPC senior archaeologist.
He's received approval. He just
Yes.
got the letter.
All right, so C application 65, essential services. NA. Parking area 66, NA. 67 marine and freshwater performance standards. 67 is NA. 69 roads and driveways. NA. And water quality 6C11. You say applicable standard net. I think they're gonna actually improve water quality. I think. See application. So the findings of fact of the proposed use will include none of the specific activities or land uses described in section 6C except for 6C2 and 6C11. And that the conclusion law is section 60 is not applicable except for 6C2 and 6C11, for which the standard has been met. We just need a motion.
Meredith Randolph, I make a motion.
Tracy Keller, second.
All right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. So since we're in the shoreline zone, we go through 5.9. So 5.9.1 will maintain safe and healthful conditions, see application. 5.9.2 will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation. See application. 5.9.3 will adequately provide for the disposal of wastewater, NA. 5.9.4 will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird or other wildlife habitat. NA. 5.9.5 will conserve shore cover and visual as actual points of access to inland and coastal. See application. 5.9.6 will protect archaeological and historic resources. See application. 5.9.7 will not adversely affect commercial fishing or maritime activities in a shoreline commercial district. That's NA. 5.9.8 will avoid problems with the floodplain. See application. Is in conformance with the provisions of section 6A, B, and C. Standard is met. Findings of fact are C above, and the conclusion was that all requirements for section 5.9 have been met.
I so move.
Dave Ashmore, second.
All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. Permit conditions.
Start the project before it expires.
There you go.
Like
Bill's
that.
the chairman.
Mhm.
You heard me.
Do they need do we need to mention DEP or anything like that?
I think that's just a condition. I don't think we
Yeah.
need to condition it.
All right. All right, so no permit conditions. Circling back to the approval vote, let's press play. All those in favor of approving the application, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, William Hanley, aye. So that
Good
was,
job.
that was 15 minutes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working with you folks over the years. Granted, you all haven't been on the board and around as long as I have, I don't believe. Maybe Dave, I can't remember. But thank you.
Likewise, Tony, and the consultant nomenclature sounds pretty fancy.
I was considering some other vernacular, but I didn't do it. Whipping boy might be one, things like that.
Well, it's good. It's good we still have you around.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And likewise. Likewise. I like working with practical people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah,
Can I have that?
yeah.
I'm gonna make sure to come inside.
Do we have any other business?
We do not have any other business advertised on the agenda tonight. So-
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, please. And we made it by 9 o'clock.
So good. And we got through all of it. So impressive.
You guys did great. Thank you.
So Meredith has a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Right, all those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and myself, William Hanley, aye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
So, good night.
Night.
Enjoy Florida, David.
I'll try.
I have a headache from talking.